Transit, the TV show on transit that takes place on transit.
In this episode of On Transit, we go to the ribbon cutting of Phase 2 of the Midtown Greenway. All this and more on Transit.
Welcome, Minneapolis, to the Greenway.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to count. You're going to take in a big breath, and I'm going to count 3, 2, 1, scream. 3, 2, 1. I use the Midtown Greenway 3 or 4 times a day, and now that it's open, I'll probably use it about 5 or 6 times a day. It is improving lives tremendously around here. It is an absolutely fantastic amenity. The Midtown Greenway Coalition is a grassroots nonprofit organization, and there are a group of us that started meeting in each other's living rooms and backyards and drinking lemonade and talking about this in 1992.
Hi, John. Peace.
And I'm an at-large board member of the Midtown Greenway Coalition, and today is the grand opening of Phase 2, which is the section from 5th Avenue to Hiawatha. It's the middle section. The next section will go from Hiawatha to the river, so it's very, very exciting.
There's water and free cookies and music and performers and a lot of activity, a lot of good speeches and dedication. It's been a fun day.
And I'm here to welcome you as chair of the Hennepin County Regional Rail Authority, which is very happy to be the owner of this piece of real estate, which is now a treasure here in South Minneapolis. We're opening the second phase of the central segment of the Midtown Greenway today. It's good news for pedestrians and bikers and skaters, and I guess those are bikes. You know, there are all sorts of new machines that we got a chance to ride out on here today. With this section open now, the Greenway connects existing park and trail systems from Victoria all the way out in Carver County to the west to Fort Snelling, and you can go across the Mendota Bridge and into Dakota County and back into St. Paul, all on continuous trails. It's a great vision and a great reality. Phase 2 from 5th Avenue over to Hiawatha involved paving the biking and walking trails along with trail striping and signage. The lights and security are in place. The vision of this was to connect the chain of lakes with the Mississippi River. It's a 100-year-old vision, a 100-year-old vision that is now about this far away from being completed. Phase 3 will be done this year. It'll be done this year, and we'll have this 100-year-old vision in place in Minneapolis. So we purchased this property back in 1993 with the idea of combining transit, bikes, and pedestrians for this trail across South Minneapolis. We've been planning this. It's a community works project, which means it's about transit, but it's about enhancing the neighborhoods along which it runs. And so this is fabulous. We've got a transportation corridor that's evolving, and we've got development. I was just at a new housing development opening up about a mile from here just the other day, and there are others planned along this corridor. It's a great vision. It's coming into reality, and we're here to celebrate that today.
And just wanted to support this wonderful new addition to the city. We live in the city, we're bikers too, so we'll be using it a lot.
The Midtown Greenway is a success for not only those of us standing on stage, but this is a victory for community. All of you who've done amazing work. It's an idea that wasn't born first by politicians, but first by citizens. And you pushed us, and you should keep pushing us all the way. This is a great vision, and I must say we need this more now than ever.
It's very important to volunteer somehow in my own community, and the Coalition's a fabulous organization, and I like the goals of connecting not only people to land but people to each other. You know, it's one thing to go from the river to the lakes, but it's all about who can go from the river to the lakes, and so all the residents are included.
The Midtown Greenway is this completely amazing bike trail. It's got a 7-foot wide westbound bike lane, a 7-foot wide eastbound bike lane, a separate 6-foot wide walking path. It's plowed in the winter, it's lit at night, it's open 24/7 every day. This is we're hearing from people who are coming to town in late July for the National Rails to Trails Conference that this is the most amazing bike transportation facility in the country. But of course, it's much more than that. It's also greening. It's sustainable gardening with native plants and water management. It is a potential linear art gallery. It is future rail transit connecting our main corridors of the area. And it is a magnet for transit-oriented development in walkable neighborhoods. So now that Phase 2 is done and Phase 3 is a done deal, as is the bridge over Hiawatha. Thank you, Congressman Sabo and Hennepin County and everybody else. And also there's funding to get the trail across the river, and that will happen soon too.
Well, the coalition is made up of 16 representatives from the 16 neighborhoods all along, and so it's an entirely grassroots organization, and so the communities are able to voice what they want it to become. There are so many options for it, and so today is just an example of some of the things. There's transit by bike or by streetcar soon, I hope. There are artwork opportunities, there's native plantings, it's all kinds of ways to be involved with it.
But it's also important to remember that this is not only a great place for bikes and for spending a wonderful day or for commuting, this is a way of life. The Greenway has really taught Minneapolis, and I think all surrounding communities, that this is about more than a bike trail. It's a vision for our community. That's a place where you can walk to work, you can live there, you can have a sustainable way of leading your everyday life. It's a whole new way of being Minneapolis. And Minneapolis is being reinvented from the center out in a sustainable way. The Greenway is the core of it, and thank you for showing us the way. I just want to commit to you that we are not stopping here. We have funded new bike trails for the first time ever in North Minneapolis. They will be built now. Northeast is getting its bike trails. They'll be woven together with sustainable development. And the housing units and the shops that you see that will come up along here will be met with them in other parts of town. Let's keep moving on that. Let's get a streetcar down the Greenway. Let's keep the vision of sustainability going. Thank you for your work. We're just starting.
I live just at the top of that hill, and I've been a Greenway supporter forever. As soon as the blacktop went down on Phase 1, I started riding the Greenway, and I rode it for 133 consecutive days until the weather got a little too bad to ride it. As it is now, I make an average of 15 trips on the Greenway every week. And it's a thrill to see the second phase open, because now I can get over to my credit union, which is over by Hiawatha. I can get over to the grocery stores and the shops, all along the second phase of the Greenway, and this is thrilling.
I like how there's no cars and you don't have to worry, and it has side for pedestrians and for like bikers or roller skaters, so you don't really have to worry about oncoming people banging into you.
So not only is it a welcome pedestrian amenity, bike amenity, we will get a streetcar down in the Greenway, but also it's a common space for all of us to be together as one community. So thanks for being here, and congratulations everyone.
I aspire to be a better bicycle commuter. And this is one of the easiest possible ways to do it. But again, it's just so many things. I'm interested in the larger picture, that it brings so many things together.
When I was first elected to public office 12 years ago, I vowed I was going to make it as easy to bicycle to work as it is to drive a car. And we certainly have come a long way in that direction in those 12 years. And certainly the opening of this Greenway is a significant factor in making that dream possible.
It's through a whole new set of neighborhoods. The sets of neighborhoods that were included in Phase 1 have a certain identity and character and different kinds of people, and Phase 2 is very, very different from that. We're now connected up with the new light rail so that you can use the Greenway to get to or from the light rail station. It's a wealth of cultural diversity, and so this is just opening Minneapolis to its own residents and the whole region.
I think it's really terrific that we are gathering here, not only celebrating the opening of the second phase of the Midtown Greenway, but we are celebrating 1 year of success for the Hiawatha LRT corridor. And these two great projects have something in common. When neighborhood activists came together and said, we want to build a ribbon of green that unites the chain of lakes to the Mississippi River, some people said, people will never come down to the Midtown Greenway. It's too dangerous, it's too dark. Who would want to ride their bikes down there? And today there are people down in Bloomington who are saying that light rail is a failure. Well, we know they're not right. We know that this is a success. And this is the way that we are building neighborhoods, we are building a city, we are building a sustainable society that is taking back the roads for humans. We are taking back our transportation in a way that respects the earth and respects our community. The Midtown Greenway Coalition has made it possible, and they have been the most successful grassroots coalition in the city of Minneapolis in the past decade. And I want to thank everybody on the board, from John DeWitt to everybody else who's made this day happen and who have made this system of transportation come to reality in the city of Minneapolis. Let's celebrate, and let's keep on celebrating, because we're not done yet. Thanks, everyone.
You know, it's not about just the trail. The trail is very important, of course, but there's all kinds of development going on, and we hope to advocate for as much community involvement in that as possible. We have a zoning overlay district that's going through the city at the proper pace. People are reviewing it to guide development. There's also all kinds of gardening going on. There are community events involving more and more children, all kinds of next steps. Plus, there's Phase 3, the bridge over Hiawatha, and going over the river, and all kinds of next steps.
There's been this vision for 100 years, and then for about 15 years, people have been trying to make the vision into a reality. And today we've got Phase 2 done. We're celebrating the opening. Lots of people out here. And we're going to finish Phase 3 to the river by the end of this year. So it's a great day to celebrate. But it's also, on a more serious note, oil prices just hit $60 a barrel. $60 a barrel. We need to create a sustainable transportation system for the 21st century and beyond. This Greenway and other bike trails, along with the LRT, which is celebrating its first birthday tomorrow, those are part of a 21st century sustainable transportation system. That's what this is about long term. You got to have the vision and the courage to put that vision in place when there are still skeptics. And as you know, there were plenty of skeptics about bicycling. You know, is it really a part of the transportation system? Well, it is, and the more we invest in these pieces of infrastructure, the bigger a part of it will be.
Things are happening fast.
The people need to be educated about public transportation and how broad it really is. It's not just about bicycles and creating bike paths. It's about buses, it's about commuters, car drivers, it's about pedestrians, it's about all of us. It's about the money that we pay for it. It's about bus drivers, the unions. It's about everything, how we get back and forth to work, you know, doctor's appointments. It's our life. It's our life. It's our livelihood. We live in the cities. We live in urban areas, and transit is about our lives and how we get around. And communities of color, low-income communities, immigrant communities, the disabled communities, all use transit, and you know, and more communities than that. And so we need to have a very, very broad discussion about public transit, about transportation, mass transit, and I feel really, really strongly about it, especially since I've been a human being. Okay. Well, I do like it that you can get to a whole lot of different neighborhoods and areas using public transportation. That's really nice. There's, like I said, there's other forms of transportation too. There are bikes, which is really healthy, and I think we need to start promoting bikes more because, especially for women of color particularly, as we deal with health issues. And there's a health crisis with women of color in this country, and particularly in Minneapolis. Indian women, Latino women, black women, Indian women, we are dying at horrendous numbers. We're dying because we don't have access to health care, and there aren't things available like bikes, maintaining bikes, bike groups for women of color to promote our health. I mean, and not to mention a cleaner environment. You know what I'm saying? I strongly believe that our politicians, they are not involving the people when it comes to public transportation. There's a large discussion going on out there, and it's mostly a private discussion with politicians and businesses, and we pay for public transportation. You know, we're involved in it, and the discussion needs to be open, and they need to inform us, you know, about, okay, what are the issues, and they need to hear what we have to say. And right now, they're not even asking us. You know, right now, one situation in particular that I can think of is how Metropolitan Transit and the city of Minneapolis, they have rerouted the buses off of Nicollet Mall onto Hennepin. And first they said from 5:30 to 5:30 to 11 in the evening. We're doing it because the businesses, they don't like the bus fumes, you know, da-da-da-da. And then the next thing you know, without even a 24-hour notice, they move the buses completely to Hennepin Avenue, you know, without even informing people. You know, excuse me, we pay for that. You know, they should be informing us. You know, we have a right to know what's going on. And we're just some afterthought. Oh, you know, we're going to be moving the buses to Hennepin, get used to it, adjust to it. You know, and that is unacceptable, and that needs to change. They need to be more accountable to us, and it needs to be a matter of practice. When they decide to make changes, they need to discuss it with us, you know, and we need to give them our feedback, and we need to let them know how we feel, especially something as important as mass transit. But they don't do it because they think that they have us, what is it? We're almost programmed, you know, to think, oh, you guys can go ahead and make your decisions. We pay you, but you can go ahead and make any kind of decisions that affect our lives, and we'll just go along with it. That is unacceptable. The 25% bus increase. Yeah, and you know, that really pisses me off because the way that I understand it, Met Council asked us, you know, well, there's going to be a 25%, we're proposing a 25% bus increase. Then they did this little community testimony where you can go down and you can give them your opinions. And after you've given them your opinions, they're going to go and vote on whether they think there should still be a 25% increase. To me, I mean, yeah, it doesn't make sense. You know, it doesn't make sense. We give you your opinions. If our opinions are overwhelmingly response and overwhelmingly negative to your ideas, then, you know, you say, yeah, well, the vote is that we don't have the increase. You don't go back to your office and vote to promote the increase anyways. I mean, what is this? This is our service. This is crazy. You know, this is absolutely crazy. And you know, they can ask for this 25% increase. Several months ago, they just had this bus strike. They enabled us. They handicapped us. And now they're going to say, oh, guys, a couple months later, can we have that 25% increase? Oh, and there's going to be some bus cuts, too. You know what I'm saying? And oh, those elderly, they're going to have to pay more for that metro mobility. Oh, in North Minneapolis, you got that crummy bus service where, you know what, we're cutting even more buses from you. And hey, there's more to come because, you know, that strike hasn't been resolved. We didn't push those talks to 2006. But we care for you, though. We're mass transit, you know? Oh, there needs to be a big discussion. And no one is, you don't hear Met Council, Met Transit, you don't hear our politicians going to the people saying, guys, we got problems here. Give us your ideas. Get involved. You don't even hear them saying that. You know, and I don't think we're going to hear them say that, but we need to just take our stuff to them and say, hey, you know what? Mass transit is ours, and if there's any ideas you have, any changes you want to make, you need to discuss it with us. It needs to be run by us first. You know, that's really how I feel about it. Well, first of all, we need the organizations that are out there that are educated on what the transit issues are. Those organizations need to get the word out to the public, need to educate the public on what the transit issues are. I mean, and then not just the issues, but some of the good things too. I mean, the monies that come in, the state gets a lot of money, Met Council gets money, dealing with transportation issues. There's MnDOT. Who are all the players? You know what I'm saying? There's just a lot of things that are going on. So the public needs to be educated about, the avenues of money, what the issues are, who are some of the key players, what are the short-term problems, what are the long-term problems, what are those short and long-term solutions, you know what I'm saying? What people can be doing in their communities, in their neighborhood. So, those are some of the things that I see as some of the challenges. But we definitely need to start in educating the public. The public needs to be educated. That's how we're going to have more people involved. When I was thinking about this the other day, when I was a young girl, you would always see politicians, they wouldn't get on the bus, but they'd be at the bus doors, you know what I'm saying? Shaking people's hands as they get on or shaking their hands when they get off. You don't see politicians do that anymore. They take us so for granted. It's so sad, but that's something that I think we will start seeing more of that as we start seeing just regular folk, going out saying, hey, Mr. Politician or Ms. Politician, I have a concern with some of those things that you've been voting for that's anti-friendly to bus users. You know what I'm saying? I think they'll be hearing more from us. But like I said, once again, we need to be educated. We definitely need to be vocal. And I think sometimes too, because I talk to bus riders. I'm a poor person, just so everyone I know is poor, and so we often talk about the bus service and transportation. And I think we're going to start hearing people talk more and talk to mass transit. But what I used to hear from my friends and stuff is that, if you got a problem with the bus company, don't even bother to call them. They won't make any changes. And I'd say that's not the truth. That's not the truth. You call them and you try and you see they will make changes. You know what I'm saying? Small changes. I'm not talking about anything big. I'm not talking about policy changes. But if you call them and complain, but that's the first thing too, to get the people to know that, okay, on some small scale, there is some basic things that they do have in place, that little information number that you can call customer relations. But for a lot of people, that's a good thing to know. That is a good step. It is a first step for them. But once again, it's about people talking, getting their feelings out there, getting their feelings known, you know what I'm saying? And feeling that what they can do and say matters and stuff. So that's a beginning. That's a beginning for some people. Some people spend a lot of time doing other things, and so they can't be involved in a big, large transit movement. But we need a large transit movement. We need that because the politicians and the policymakers need to see that the public is concerned, where their money is going and what people are doing about how they take care of their livelihood. You know what I'm saying? So I would like to hear all that the bus drivers have to say. Then I want to hear everything that the people have to say. Have ongoing community gatherings. Met Council, Met Transit does something like whenever they want a fare increase, they'll say, we're having a community meeting. Sometimes they got to be forced to have those community meetings. You know what I'm saying? But why not do that regularly? Why not have on a regular basis a magazine for the public? That you can pick up at the library, you can pick up on any bus. You know what I'm saying? I would change the advertisement on the buses. You got these buses, you know what they have on there? Nothing but Met Transit advertisement. And once in a while they'll have some nonprofit advertisement, but it's rare. It's rare. You know what I'm saying? I mean, look at this bus. You have all this empty space that could be used for some good advertisement for a lot of the needs in our community. There are a lot of nonprofits out there that are doing some spectacular things that need volunteers, needs resources. And Met Transit, in the course of a day, Met Transit buses see hundreds of thousands of people. Why aren't we using those spaces? Why do you have to get on this bus and see all Met Transit info? You know what I'm saying? And it isn't even Met Transit info that's really, once again, that's empowering the people. You know what I'm saying? It's about, oops, we cut that bus from that route, or we reduced that service, or, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's not about, anti-violence, violence-free families. You know what I'm saying? What about violence? You get on the bus, a lot of stress. Sometimes parents with kids who can be quite abusive. I come here educating the people. I mean, look at all this on the outside of the bus, on the inside of the bus. Not to mention light rail, So I guess I would talk to the passengers, talk to the the drivers, and then I would start doing some community advertisement on the inside and outside of the buses. And that's where I would start. I'm looking forward to this next year and becoming more and more active with Met Transit and connecting with different organizations and people and individuals, and us just educating ourselves about Met Transit. And I'd like to see in a few years, I'd like to see a whole different. I'd like to see a vehicle in place. Whether it's a magazine or a newsletter, that I can go to any one of my libraries or a grocery store and pick it up and say, this group produced this every month, and look at all the various issues that they're talking about as it relates to transportation and the people in the metro region. That's what I'd like to see in a couple of years. Maybe it's too lofty of a goal, but I think we need to start that, because I don't see anyone else putting that out there for the people, and the people is paying for this, and the people deserve it. That's the least that the people deserve.
Public transit and public access, and that's on transit.
Up against the cover, I'll put you up against the single wheel, discover free from thoughts of what it means. Where are you now that we're all dancing? Come from the back, take your hands out your pocket. We will be impressed.
And welcome to the Bike In at the Bell. This thing is just getting started. They are hanging the screen right there. They're racing the sun, so you need to give them their hand so that they can beat the sun and we can see our movies late at night. There's a ton of people who made this event possible. It's put on by Minnesota Film Arts and the Bell Museum of Natural History, who are now partners in crime on a regular basis.
This is our first time doing this, so we hope to continue doing this every year as long as the Bell Museum's here. And so they'll be here till 2009, so we'll definitely be here that long.
We want to thank all of the filmmakers, all of the bands, all of the volunteers, and all of the bicyclists who are here tonight. So thank you guys so much for riding your bikes.
Thank you.